Because the documentary service is a hoax, then it's very difficult to charge the persons who have been implicated. However, there may be possibility that if you do the investigations about child abuse and trafficking and sexual exploitation, it may also be that it is true that those people have been mentioned. So the investigation will help us to understand whether those people, whether or not the documentary was a hoax, are also involved in child trafficking for sexual exploitation. Mr. Speaker, I beg to submit.
Honorable Oroni, I've noticed you on phone for the last 40 minutes. And your colleagues, the member for Nairobi, has been shifting seats 3 times to avoid your nuisance. You are out of order. You are at liberty to use the speaker's holding room behind here to go and make calls, or go to the lobby out there. As to the case of Honorable Wamchomba, in law we call it condemned in the face of the court. Condemned in the face of the court, not just condemned of court, condemned in the face of the court. And members, you all are witnesses to this. Under Standing Order 107A, as read with 1A and 3, and having been prompted by the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Mchomba shall serve a suspension from the House of 20 days, excluding the recess days. And in those days, she will not be allowed to enter the precincts of Parliament or enjoy the facilities of Parliament, including the restaurants, the gym, and the office. And honorable members, you are distinguished elected people, representing people who send you here. There's no point filing questions for purposes of playing to the gallery and then defiantly walking away. You will not sit in the House, and you are sitting in the House. Those tantrums don't make this House look any better. And many times you have your children sitting in the gallery. You have your voters sitting in the gallery. We are relaying these proceedings live. If you can't respect your speaker in this House, who else will you respect? The next question, CS Honorable Tienda Molo, I'm aware is leading our football team to play with governors in Homa Bay during the conference, so we'll stay the question until next time. He has not appointed anybody to ask for him. Next question, Esther Passaris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why the ministry is yet to implement the use of body-worn cameras for all police officers involved in arrests, interrogations, and custodial transfers of suspects? Could the Cabinet Secretary also provide clear timelines on when the ministry intends to roll out the use of body-worn cameras across all police operations? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence and permission, yes. I just want, for avoidance of doubt, so that it doesn't go to the public like we didn't have an answer on the quarry issue, to go on record that I had a follow-up answer based on the question that was raised.
You had, in fact, answered the question. It was at the supplementary level.
Even at the supplementary level, Mr. Speaker, yes. I was willing to supply more information based on
the question is dropped, so
what the honourable member had raised, so that it is clear that we are ready and to deal with this issue. And it was a subject of a very, very presidential task force inquiry that the President established in the Femicide Committee, and I wanted to inform the House. But be it as it may, it has been dropped. When the time comes, we will deal with it. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Honorable Passaris, Mr. Speaker, the use of body-worn cameras is critical in enhancing transparency and accountability accountability in police operations. The minister has come up with a modernization program aimed at upgrading its security equipment, like the digitization of police concurrence book and instant fines for motorists in phased rollout plan. Given the capital-intensive nature of the police modernization program, and owing to the budgetary constraint, the ministry is already engaging with key stakeholders to mobilize resources to support towards realization. Mr. Speaker, on the part of concerning the timelines, the ministry continues to lobby for more budgetary allocation from the National Treasury and this House to meet its logistical and operational requirements. Once additional budgeted proposals are approved and funds are dispersed, the ministry will implement the modernization of police equipment, including body-worn cameras, in a phased approach. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Pasaris.
Mr. Speaker, I understand about the budgetary concerns, but when it comes to, if we can't roll out the body-worn cameras immediately, we do have a situation where it's not very clear, especially after what happened at Central Police. It's not very clear whether we have rolled out surveillance cameras in every police station in the country. If we have that, why was the one at Central Police not working when it should have been working?
Yes, Minister. Sorry, Owen Bayer on the same. You can joyride on that. And
Thank
then
you.
Mukunji, then the Minister will answer.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this Parliament, I initiated an amendment to the law to include body cam as one of those wearables for police officers, so that it is very definite of what it is, and that when it is in the law, that it guarantees that government will provide for it. But the response we got, and that's why the bill was dropped, was that it is already covered in the law. And I didn't dispute that. But, Honorable Speaker, as long as there is no statute that pushes that police officers must wear body cams, I don't think there'll be commitment to really actually buy this. I would like the Minister to agree with me that we introduce deliberately a clause in the Police Act that we introduce body cam as one of the wearables. Honorable Speaker, it covers two things. Many times, police are falsely accused because there's no gadget that actually tells the story. And sometimes police, when they wear a body cam, like other jurisdictions like South Africa, like in the United States, where police actually wear body cams, it is easier to resolve some of the issues that we have that boil up to a point where we have demonstrations and killing of people and all that. And even during demonstration, we're going to cover a lot of issues, and court cases will be faster disposed when we have body cams worn by police, Honorable Speaker. I urge that the minister looks for, he be the first minister to actually introduce body cams in this country, so that we can avoid so many issues that come with policing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to ask Honorable Speaker for the minister to take this matter seriously. And Honorable Speaker, I want to write this with even my experience while I was being arrested. But also, Honorable Speaker,
just avoid the temptation to use yourself as an example.
Yes,
because
I am out of that place. I'm heading to somewhere else. Honorable Speaker, currently, as we are speaking today, for the last 3 days, there has been clashes between Mbere and Embu people in a town called Siakago in Embu County. And also, this is being caused by the fact that there has been stealing of bodabodas, but there is an allegation of police officers taking bribes and allowing bodabodas to just disappear. Honorable Speaker, if we have gadgets that can be able, Honorable Speaker, to show what exactly the police are doing when they are doing their work, Honorable Speaker, I would really, Honorable Speaker, ask Waziri, because it is coming to now issue of ethnic clashes because of failure of security organs to do their work.
Thank you. Point made. Was it Minister?
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, let me say that I am a supporter of body-worn cameras, first of all, and technology has been ably pronounced by my friend Honorable Owen and Honorable Mukunji, my friends. Mr. Speaker, the body-worn cameras requires certain level of technology investment. Mr. Speaker, that is necessary for us to, it's not just one of those investments that will be standalone. It's the whole issue of modernization of the police service, particularly communication and for transparency. We have been grappling with that idea as to how best can we do this with the support of private sector. And we realize that most of the investment in the security sector does not have revenue raising, it does not lead to collection of revenue. However, Mr. Speaker, there is a planned program that is going on about instant fining system for the transport, which I left it being pushed from the transport sector, and now we are working together with the Minister of Transport to make sure that it is realized. Mr. Speaker, we hope that the resources that will come from the instant fining, Mr. Speaker, the part that is shared to the National Police Service will be plowed back by investing in technology. And this is something that, Mr. Speaker, I am hoping to see in the next 2 years, that it is the instant fining system is implemented. Then we can raise the resources to make sure that we invest in technology. Remember, it's not enough to have the camera, body-worn camera. There must be a command center, with the entire technology, with enough people to monitor, and perhaps you might even sometimes want to make sure that you decentralize it so that it is easy to monitor different parts of our country. Again, it's also a deterrence by itself. A police officer who is wearing a body cam knows for sure that he cannot take a bribe, Mr. Speaker. And it's not just the police officer, it will deter also the person who wants to bribe the police officer. Mr. Speaker, I remember saying this yesterday in after Jukwaa la Usalama in Nakuru, that we often just talk about the responsibility that the police officer has, Mr. Speaker, in terms of fighting corruption. But that traffic police officer, Mr. Speaker, who is led into temptation by this business mogul, Mr. Speaker, who is driving on the road, that businessman must also be equally punished the same way the police officer is being punished. Both of them.
Are you sure they are tempted or they solicit?
Mr. Speaker, in some cases, in actually many cases, we overspeed, and because we know we oversped, before the police officer even approach your vehicle, you're already holding your hand with something to give the police officer. And in some instances, it is the police officer also is walking to you, and they have an arrangement with the matatu people who already just presents their hand to be given something. So this thing, you can't blame one side alone. It's a society problem that we must deal with. Mr. Speaker, people just pay bribes because they have not committed an offense, but they don't like the inconvenience of going through a court, Mr. Speaker, to be clear, through a court process. So we need all of us. But these cameras will solve both the problem of the traffic officer and the person who wants to bribe the traffic officer, meaning many people also will abide by the law because they will realize that there is no room for them to bribe anyone. So I support it, and Mr. Speaker, I'll take it up. This is an innovation that we must continue taking up. The last thing is to pick from Honorable Mukunji. It is true that we have had an incident in the Siakago, Mr. Speaker, that involves 2 communities. That, Mr. Speaker, involves both the stealing of motorcycles, or alleged stealing of motorcycles, and also invasion of business premises and destruction of property. Mr. Speaker, the Inspector General of Police has deployed police officers to deal with this issue. There was allegations that because of inherent conflict of interest among some of the police officers, even when they have not committed anything. Mr. Speaker, if you come from one of the communities, you become suspicious, the people become suspicious that you will side with one of the warring communities. And so, Mr. Speaker, the Inspector General of Police has made changes, not to punish the officers, but to restore confidence among the local communities, both communities, to ensure that justice will be done and they will be protected. This is a live matter that we are dealing with, And it's not just in that situation. In many other situations, Mr. Speaker, body-worn cameras may be useful to avert laxity on the part of police officers. I thank you.
Next question
And
by
Mr. Speaker,
Millie.
if I may say, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage Honorable Mukunji, next time we have Jukwaa la Usalama in his county, he can attend. It's a free forum for us to solve those local problems. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The next question by Honorable Millie Odhiambo will be stayed to the next time. She's away in Homa Bay hosting the devolution conference. James Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask question number 066 of 2025. The Cabinet Secretary to clarify whether the National Police Service undertakes psychological and mental health assessment during recruitment of police officers, including whether police officers recently recruited have undergone such evaluation. And two, Mr. Speaker, to provide details on the psychological, mental health, and behavioral adaptation components incorporated in police training curriculum, and indicate whether the curriculum promotes a punitive and adversarial approach towards the public rather than a rehabilitative and correctional approach. And three, Mr. Speaker, state the measures put in place to ensure continuous assessment of the psychological and mental well-being of police officers, particularly with regard to their fitness to perform policing duties. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The service undertakes medical examination for potential recruits, which include psychological evaluation, mental health assessment, and aptitude test. The psychological evaluation process entails screening for emotional stability, stress tolerance, personality traits, and behavioral risk factors. Aptitude test, conducted as part of the same framework, assess critical cognitive skills such as reasoning, memory, and decision-making capacity, of all which are essential for the effective discharge of police service. Mr. Speaker, on the second part, the National Police Service training curriculum has integrated psychological, mental health, and behavioral adaptation components into the following areas. One, the National Police Service training curriculum incorporates stress management content across all levels of training and ranks. These modules aim to build psychological resilience and help officers cope effectively with the emotional demands of policing. Strategic management and leadership courses embed emotional intelligence training to enhance senior officers' capacity to understand and regulate their emotions, demonstrate empathy, and engage in constructive interpersonal communication. This supports better making and conflict environment resolution in high-pressure environment. Officers' wellness and resilience programs are actively provided to all serving officers. These initiatives are implemented in collaboration with specialized institutions such as Chiromo Hospital Group and Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute. The programs include psychological support, counseling, and wellness education to promote mental well-being and prevent burnout. The curriculum is designed to strike a balance between punitive, adversarial, and rehabilitative correctional approaches to policing, depending on the nature of the situation and the operational demands as follows. One, punitive and adversarial components are emphasized in units such as drill, skill at arms, fieldcraft, and physical training. These subjects prepare officers to maintain discipline, enforce lawful authority, and exercise effective command and control. They are critical for managing high-risk situations such as effective arrests, dispersing violent crowds, and neutralizing terrorist threats. These units help instill a warrior mindset when dealing with hostile or dangerous circumstances where officers and public safety are paramount. Rehabilitative and correctional approaches are integrated in subjects like community policing, community communication skills, first aid, and human rights training. These subjects are mandatory across all the training levels, from basic recruit training to command and leadership courses for senior officers. The units emphasize empathy, trust building, and seeing members of the public as partners in crime prevention and safety. Officers are trained to adopt proactive, solution-oriented strategies such as diversion, conflict mediation, and non-coercive methods to gain compliance. These courses promote a guardian mindset, which reflects a commitment to ethical policing, public service, and the protection of human dignity. On measures put in place to ensure a continuous assessment of the psychological and mental well-being of officers, Mr. Speaker, the following measures have been put in place to ensure continuous assessment of the psychological and mental well-being of the officers. Number one is the institutionalized periodic psychological evaluation for officers. This screening helps detect early signs of stress, trauma, or mental health challenges, especially after critical deployment or, Mr. Speaker, critical incidents or deployments. Two, developed a mental health and wellness policy, which guides the implementation of psychosocial interventions, confidentiality protocols, referral pathways, and reintegration of officers after treatment. Psychologists, counselors, and social workers have been deployed to major police stations and formations countrywide. This ensures that officers can access on-site, timely counseling services without having to be referred to externally unless it is extremely necessary. Introduced peer support networks where trained officers offer mental health, first aid, and psychosocial support to their colleagues. These peer supporters are trained to identify signs of distress, provide initial support, and refer cases needing professional help. 5, officers involved in distressing operations such as shooting incidents and terror-related incidents are subjected to immediate psychological debriefing. This helps in processing trauma, preventing post-traumatic stress disorder, and promoting emotional recovery. 6, to promote holistic well-being, officers are encouraged to participate in wellness activities such as physical fitness, routines, guided meditation, team-building exercises, and spiritual retreats organized by Directorate of Chaplaincy and Counseling. 7, confidential reporting channels have been established for officers to seek help without fear of stigma. Some stations have designated safe spaces for counseling and mental health check-ins. 8, recognize the impact of police work on families. The government has introduced family counseling and outreach programs. This involves spouses and children in the healing and support process and help reduce domestic tensions and emotional stresses. Finally, number 9, for officers who have been on medical or psychological leave, reintegration program help them transition back to duty safely and effectively. This includes step-by-step assessment, mentorship, and support from peer teams and psychologists. I thank you.
Yes, Dr. Nyikal, that's satisfactory.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for a very well laid out response. However, I have a concern that actually led me to this. What we have observed first of all, in the general working of the police force, and also during demonstrations, and even in their homes, actually do not indicate that what you are saying really happens. There's obviously increased homicide amongst the police in use of firearms, attacking each other, their seniors, and that's normally a sign that something is actually wrong in the system. 2, suicide, again, is an indication that basically something is wrong. and this is common, and we get many reports. And 3, their conduct during tense situations. I was particularly concerned when I saw what happened in the case of Boniface. Once somebody ceases to be a threat to the security of a police officer, one would expect that now that person is actually further protected. But if you looked at the police officer who shot Boniface, he was going away almost celebrating that somebody who has scored a goal. That is not proper. And again, once somebody is down, the continual beating of the same person indicates that the psychological state of the officer is not actually security at that point, but further punishment and harm. So I don't know how often this is done and what is taken, and maybe if you have the information, I did ask for that. How many police officers have actually, one, been actually retrained or put out of service because of that, or actually punished when their behavior is out of the normal in regard to what their mental status should be when they're carrying out the sensitive jobs that we know they do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the CS has actually, on the answer to the issue of police training, he has actually tried to explain that the curriculum promotes both the punitive and adversarial approach towards the public and also a rehabilitative and correctional approach. Mr. Speaker, I beg to differ, and I think the only approach that should be allowed by the police is the one of rehabilitative and correctional, because the punishment is not really one of the responsibilities of the police force, because they are not supposed to punish. It is a court of law that are supposed to do the punishment. But Mr. Speaker, also agreeing on what Honorable Nyikala said, we have all witnessed online a lot of things that the comments they make, the actions that police take, and you saw that in the case that he has just talked about, that officer that shot Boniface Karaoke didn't just go and shoot him. He made several attempts. He took aim several times. He would take aim, then walk away and rethink about it. Took aim about 3 times. Finally decided to shoot. So clearly there was a confusion, or there was something that was probing him. So it's important that these police get help so that they can be able to do this job. I know it's strenuous, Mr. Speaker, it's very stressful. And Mr. Speaker, also many times when things go wrong, we all start blaming the police. And some of them, by the way, are very innocent. I know one shot me, broke my leg. But there are also very many that were also in the same demonstrations that were not acting in the same manner. So I think it's something that they need to go through continuously so that we can ensure that their mental health is stable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Sane.
Mr. Speaker, the question by Honorable Nyikala is so specific. Question 1 asks to the CS to clarify whether the National Police Service undertakes psychological and mental health assessments during recruitment, not during the service. I know many things can change, many things are dynamic, but during recruitment, when you are allowing new recruits to join the service, are these assessments really done?
I thought he answered that.
If he answered, I also doubt that.
He did, and I had it. And Honorable Nyikala is normally very meticulous. I can assure you if it was not answered, he would have raised it. He did. Honorable Mishimbogo.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first I want to appreciate the Cabinet Secretary for the many interventions and the programs he has just mentioned in a way of fighting the mental health. And I want to say here that mental health is real, and mental health is with us. And we need to know that the issue of depression, the issue of anxiety, the issue of bipolar is with us. And especially for our Kenyans who are working in the security sector, they're really affected by mental health. You can imagine those KDF personnel who have been taken to do peacekeeping mission in Somalia and any other country. When they come back, they have trauma and that is because of the nature of work they've gone to do. Those police officers taken to Haiti, and you can imagine what they have seen and experienced in Haiti in fighting with those people fighting the government in Haiti. So it is really high time to ensure that we have some intervention, we have some program, and we have proper funding to ensure that at least we have regional checking, and even how are we going to do to ensure that our security officers can be checked in terms of mental health. And my question would be, is these services or the intervention and the programs, are they devolved maybe in the police headquarters in our counties, or are they devolved also maybe in our sub-counties? Maybe we have some units whereby they deal with wellness, and the issue of wellness can include the mental health intervention. So I just want to know whether we have that, because in our sub-counties we have seen police officers committing suicide, killing their wives, police officers killing their husband, killing the family, and so many other tragedy incidences which we have seen. And this is because of mental health. So I'm just asking the Cabinet Secretary if you have done more intervention to devolve these programs and the intervention so that we ensure that we fight this mental health. Because today, maybe the public health centers, like in Nairobi, we have the Madhare. We go to Mombasa, we only have Portrees, which is a very small unit and cannot cater for so many cases of mental health. So, Honorable Cabinet, I just want to hear whether we have plans or you have done so. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Rachel Nyamai, then Minister, you answer those, we go to the next.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to joyride. I would like to ask the Cabinet Secretary whether I'm sure he's aware of several police officers who have lost their jobs because they are mentally unwell, and some have resorted to alcoholism. I will not cite the example that I've written about concerning a constituent, a person in my constituency. Honorable Speaker, is there a form of insurance to ensure that this person who becomes so stressed in the course of duty and becomes a drunkard is not just declared not useful for the service? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine is not a question, and neither do I want to help the very able CS. Just want to bring to the attention of the House, or remind even the House, that already we have a bill in this House being sponsored by Honorable Masara, which Masara, actually to amend the National Police Service Commission to provide the provision to have psychosocial services in every county to address such issues of mental health and challenges among our police officers. So it is actually past the second stage, is awaiting this House to expedite the same.
Minister, can you respond to those?
Yes.
Hold, Minister, who is that?
Chematia.
Is that CNN or Chematia? Chematia?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to add, my concern also is on officers who have gone through these mental problems, and this also affects highly their families. What happens when, for instance, a police officer is having troubles at work, and this probably goes to affect their family? Do we also have an extension of the same programs that is also aligned to their families? Because it's very rampant.
I think you had already said that. Okay. But go on, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is actually a very serious issue that is being confronted by the National Police Service. And for the 28 counties I have visited now to have an engagement with police officers, every of that public engagement has touched on mental health. And we need to look at it not just when they have become sick, but what are the factors that lead to mental health problems, if I may say so. First, we have now discovered that the deployment of police officers is such that a police officer is sometimes deployed to an operational area for 10, 11, 12, 15 years, Mr. Speaker. You are recruited, you come from Bungoma, you are deployed to Tana River, and you go serve there for 15 years. And it is in a difficult operational environment. So what happens? That person, first of all, I was told this story when I was in Tana River, that a police officer had been deployed there. He hoped that he would serve there for 3-4 years because he was still in his early 20s. He would come back to marry at home and then serve in other places and where he can easily access his family and so forth. The Speaker, 10 years, 15, 12, what do they decide? They marry there, they live there, and one of the officers, I was told, had very serious mental health issues. Mr. Speaker, therefore, we need also to address the operational challenges that come. Mr. Speaker, if you send a person to go to work in Liboy, Mandera, and they're fighting Al-Shabaab and so forth, Mr. Speaker, you cannot keep them there for more than 2-3 years in an operational area. So, pursuant to our engagement, we have said there must be a determined period of time that a police officer can be in an operational area. Maybe at most 5 years, but at least to make sense 3 years. That means there must be a system of continuous transfer of police officers. You move from operational area, you come to an area that is less operational. You moved from operation, you come to less operational areas. That way, you are able to deal with, first of all, the mental health issues. Number 2 is the promotion of police officers. You promote them, Mr. Speaker, somebody stays for 25 years, 30 years, they've never been promoted. They feel totally disillusioned to serve as a constable from the day they were hired to 25 years. And Mr. Speaker, that again contributes.
I know many who have served as constables from recruitment to retirement.
And Mr. Speaker, I can hear, I'm overhearing, I'm not supposed to hear, but I've heard Honorable Mbui saying like our security officers, the bodyguards that are with you. Mr. Speaker, every Jukwaa la Usalama visit we've gone to every county, it is the leaders after that will give us names of officers who have stayed for a long period of time. So that is true what he's saying. But Mr. Speaker, so what kind of interventions are we said in terms of this long period of without promotion? As a result of this, we have agreed, and it has been presented to the board, that all officers who are still constables and they are 50 years and above will all be promoted automatically on merit and sent for training. Mr. Speaker, for all officers who are still inspectors of police or who have been corporals for also 15 years, Mr. Speaker, for more than 15 years, for 15 years and above, have stagnated at corporal stage, be promoted automatically and taken for training. And for people who have been inspectors of police, Mr. Speaker, for more than 10 years, be also promoted automatically and taken for training. That way, you help the police officers deal with their personal welfare and they feel like they are being cared of. But going forward, there must be a system that automatically helps police officers, unless you have a serious disciplinary case. You must know that when you reach a certain level of service, you will have moved from constable to corporal to inspector and so forth and so forth. Mr. Speaker, the other issue now is working hours. And this is where I suspect, without prejudice to the case that is going on involving Mr. Boniface Kariuki, I was looking at him and I'm asking myself, why would a police officer shoot a civilian in such an incident? Mr. Speaker, it points out, we suspect, you can suspect a mental health situation at that point in time. When you deploy someone, and this is where we need also to, as I said earlier, we need to deal with this issue of protest. When there is a protest in Nairobi, for avoidance of doubt, for people to know, the police officers are deployed from 6 the following day. You know, by 7, 8, 9, 10, they're already preparing to take position. Because if they don't take position, goons will take that position and come to town to burn property and so forth. So somebody has been deployed from 11 p.m. at night, okay? And given some snacks around in the morning. And occasionally, you know, sometimes they might be forgotten. But I mean, I'm just, you know, making true confession that if it happens that they were not brought for snacks, Mr. Speaker, they will be deployed. Now, the following morning, he's taking position the entire day. Now, the real mandamano starts at 1 p.m., okay? By that time, he's worn out, he's tired, sugar levels are down. So by 3 p.m., that person is extremely irritable. extremely irritable. A small provocation, you insult his wife or his mother, you call him stupid, or at that point in time, their mental health status is of great challenge. So sometimes it's important for all of us to appreciate the operating environment of some of these police officers. And therefore, that's why we're insisting we need more police officers that can be able to cover for each other. But also, let's not create occasions where police officers have to manage criminals and gangs and so forth that are giving us problems. And Mr. Speaker, as a matter of fact, I have visited the training institutions of the police. All our police officers that are deployed to deal with serious cases like Al-Shabaab, among others, do not stay there for long, and they're always brought back. And before they are redeployed, they go through training, including counseling. And Mr. Speaker, I know, I don't need to mention within which institutions, but we have a very detailed program for dealing with those situations. The problem is the day-to-day police officer in a normal police station providing those services. There are very few counselors. The counselors now that are serving our police officers are only at the county headquarters, and they are supposed to move to different places, so different parts of the county. You may have in a county 17 or 24 police stations. To serve all those police officers is not easy. And therefore, we have agreed that in the next recruitment, we need to also focus on getting counselors, increasing the number of counselors so that they can reach out to these people. As I read in the statement, we are also working with their families to see how these counseling services can be extended to their families. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is to point out that now in the National Police Service, drunkardness is not considered an offense, an act for this that can lead to addiction or alcohol addiction does not lead to your dismissal. It's now treated as a disease. And so most of our police officers who have been addicted have been taken to rehabilitation centers. And Mr. Speaker, a number of them have come back, Mr. Speaker, back to service. I know, and because we are leaders, you know that police station where people are sent, when they are drunk, they are sent there. So you have 13 police stations, 13 police officers, but 10 are there because they are addicted to alcohol. So the only 3 police officers that are serviceable. Those are some of the things we have said it must come to an end. Transfer police officers to certain police stations, certain corners, because they are addicted, must also come to an end. So this is an area of reform that we have picked from our public engagements, and I assure you that we are going to deal with these issues decisively. In terms of health, mental health institutions, I agree that, first of all, in the entire society, mental health is considered, Mr. Speaker, a taboo. Yes, that is the word I was looking for. It's considered a taboo. And not just about the police officer, even us who are sitting here, even me, Mr. Speaker, to be able to manage the cases we deal with in this ministry, I have to be conscious that my mental well-being is important. So I must think about what things am I going to do, how do I debrief, what exercises can I do, what things can you do, and that's the same for the police. That's why we're saying police officers are now exposed to playing sports, boxing, exercising, running, and those who are able to do that and some are community activities, some are leading in churches. In fact, the police chaplaincy is very instrumental in terms of helping police officers to have debriefing sessions where they can be able to do this. And for avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, as a result of the diligence of National Police Service, we have 2 teams in the Premier League. Mr. Speaker, the National Kenya Police football team, the champions of the Premier League, and recently the APS Police Bomet qualified, Mr. Speaker, to Premier League. And then we have many athletes, world record holders. Mr. Speaker, our volleyball team is one of the best around, the same to volleyball, boxing, and many other sports. So we encourage sports within the police service. Ultimately, we need to reach a stage where the police officers, these are 120,000 people. So definitely, if you have 10,000 having a problem, it becomes multiplied. But we need to reach a stage where we have enough technology, and that's why the first question was important. We're having enough technology that we don't have to have too many numbers, so that you manage the numbers, pay them well, and challenge issues of mental health. Of course, sorry, Speaker, if you allow me this, Of course, the working environment of the police officers is also a serious challenge. Where they live, most of the police officers in the police stations are living in uni-arts. Mr. Speaker, a police officer with his family, their houses are partitioned with some kind of a sugar or a bedseat. Yeah, pazia, you know that one. Mr. Speaker, and you're asking yourself, how do these people live? Because for you to live well, you have to exile the next person living in the next day. You know what I'm saying? So it's really a problem. And you have children, you have deplorable working conditions. For those of us who have had this engagement at home, and even if you look at your police station, you'll realize your police station is the worst government office in the country, you know? And allow me to use this example. Sondu Police Station, when we were at Jukwaa la Usalama Kericho, we discovered that Sondu Police Station was built in 1932. It is old, it is completely in a deplorable state. Meanwhile, Sondu Power Generation Station was built over 10 billion shillings or so. Yet you have the police station here, they are supposed to provide security to this critical government installation. They just need maybe 10 million to build a good police station. And nobody cares about that police station. And those examples are replicated all over the country. So I request, Mr. Speaker, even as we have the debate about NGCDF, Mr. Speaker, NGCDF has done a fantastic job in building classes, Mr. Speaker, and education institutions. In fact, I came as a senator, Mr. Speaker. By the time I was coming to Senate, still a few places in my county we were doing Arambes to build schools. But now we don't go for any Arambe to build schools because of NGCDF. Mr. Speaker, if that can be extended to police stations and chief's offices, Mr. Speaker, and ACC's offices, this, I know some members of parliament do it, but it is done as it's almost like a CSR of the main function, which is to build schools. I will request, Mr. Speaker, a conversation based on my findings having gone around the country. I don't want to mention the counties that are doing extremely badly, Mr. Speaker, because I don't want to put leaders on the spot. That, Mr. Speaker, we need to come to a place where we can have a conversation between us and the NGCDF team to see how best we are going to achieve building our modern, good police stations with at least the OCS and the deputy OCS and the sergeant in charge of the armory getting accommodation within the police station so that we can provide proper services to the people of Kenya. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Robert Mbui, we are running out of time. A comment? Yes, half a minute.
Mr. Speaker, the minister said something very important that must be acted on. You cannot have a person who started working at 11 and by 5 o'clock has not eaten, holding a firearm. That, I think, should be changed in management of demonstrations. Even drivers which have these buses that roll, if you look at the time, at that time they are not in a mental state to work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In fact, Minister, when those policemen are on the streets, do you ever think even where they go to relieve themselves? Something as simple as that, a human nature call. Yeah. And you are there from morning to evening. What do? The hotels are closed because people are rioting. You can't enter any cafeteria. And they are human beings. A man within an age bracket of procreating, living in a small hut, and sometimes you find 3 families living in that hut, divided by a piece of cloth, and they have got human needs, and children are born in there, or sometimes an unmarried young man with a couple. You can imagine. But I was very impressed when Haika invited me to Taveta, and we went to an SCK church, and the guest preacher was a policeman. We were very encouraged. Robert Mbui.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 67 of 2025 to the CS. First, could the CS provide the status of drug and substance abuse in the coastal region and indicate the measures put in place by the ministry to combat drug and substance abuse across the country. 2, explain whether the country has adequate facilities and infrastructure to effectively respond to mental health challenges and drug dependency cases. And 3rd and finally, state the measures put in place to secure alternative funding for drug and substance abuse intervention programs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you may just allow me, I don't want to allow this to pass on the previous question.
Yes.
In one of the Jukwaa ul Salama yesterday in Nakuru, one of the ACCs who has done research, DCC, said that there are 117 police officers in his research who have lost their spouses as a result of the transfer program that we have. So that then you live very far, families very far, and then people find their wives have gone. It was a wake-up call to me. In fact, he said 17 DCCs. The administrators have also the same. It is something that we might have to do a proper investigation. And then we ask ourselves, is it necessary really that a police officer must come from far to serve well? You know, why in other countries, and I'm not saying this is something we should change today, I'm saying long term. In other countries, police officer a sheriff is picked from the local community and elected. Actually, they are elected by the people to serve them. Might we have to change our policing strategy so that police officers will come from around the community and the community support them and people can live with their families? Then we reserve the special forces that are only deployed in a change. So it is something that long term we need to keep thinking, because we must be conscious of people's families. You are transferring a police officer or ACC, and they're asking these questions. If you transfer me, what happens to my children who are in the next school there? Will they move schools? And how many times will I move schools to other places? There are a number of things that we have to apply our mind insofar as these family issues are concerned. Let me go back to the right question, Mr. Speaker. We will have these discussions as we move on. The status of drugs and substance abuse in the coastal region. Mr. Speaker, on part 1, the prevalence of any substance abuse, alcohol, cat, and tobacco in coast region is higher than the national rate. The region is largely affected by hard drugs like heroin, bang, muguka, especially counties of Kenya, counties of Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, and Lamu. There is a worrying burden of alcohol and tobacco addiction in the region. The age group mostly affected are 15 to 35 years. The summary of the survey findings are shown in a table provided by NACADA based on their 2022 research, Mr. Speaker, which says that the national average of substance abuse in Kenya is 17.5%, while coast is 18.1%. It's higher than the national average. While for alcohol, is 13% in coast, while the national average is 11%. And for tobacco, cost is 10%, Mr. Speaker, 10.8, when national average is 8.5. And for cat, Mr. Speaker, you would expect muguka to be higher in the eastern part of the country, but it's higher in the coast, the 4.8%, compared to 3.6% national average. And cannabis sativa is the national average in the coast, which is 1.9%. So the government has implemented different strategies to address the widespread abuse of drugs and banned substances in the country, using 2 main arms, demand and supply reduction. Mr. Speaker, under the demand and reduction initiatives, the government has implemented interventions on different settings. Integrated alcohol and drug use prevention in the CBC curriculum in schools. This is in schools. The other thing in schools is developed the national guidelines for prevention and management of alcohol and drug abuse in basic learning institutions. These guidelines target the students, teachers, parents, and entire school environment. It highlights how to implement prevention strategies in schools, identify students who use drugs or sell, and such incidents management. 3, training of schools head principals on basic addiction skills and implementation guidelines. 4, introduced a life skill guidelines targeting grade 5 pupils on alcohol and drug use prevention. At the workplace, Mr. Speaker, there is alcohol and drug abuse committee trainings, baseline survey on institutional ADA situation, ADA policy development and mainstreaming, managers and supervision trainers on ODA, employee assistance program targeting ADA issues, sensitization of the ADA use triggers as highlighted in the baseline survey, informal sectors training targeting borders, Juakali and Matatus. In terms of families, Mr. Speaker, developed parents guide to talking to children about drugs and alcohol, positive parenting programs in school and churches, developed age-specific booklets on ADA targeting children as young as 6 years to 18 years. These parents can read together with their children. In terms of communities, develop the community-based rehabilitation framework for substance use disorders to support implementation of treatment programs at the community level, developed the national prevention guidelines on ADA to ensure professionalism in the ADA prevention interventions, development the community coalition framework to guide stakeholders in the field of ADA prevention, and forming work groups, advocacy and resource mobilization, developed the national ADA prevention system that maps out all the prevention stakeholders and documents what area the prevention or the practice target. This supports in identifying the gaps and spreading support equitably. Community barazas forums in collaboration with GAO, training of religious leaders on ADA to enable nationwide reach, supporting creation of county community work groups, CBOs, NGOs, CSOs, and FBOs, and training them on ADA and prevention mechanisms. Bar honor sensitization on the Act and 2010 and their responsibilities. Advocacy campaigns, mass media campaigns on newspapers, mainstream media, radio, social media, posters and banners and roadshows. Support in music and drama festivals, participating in ASK shows, webinars, among others. Under supply reduction initiatives, the government has, in collaboration with other relevant agencies, conducted nationwide multi-agency crackdown on illicit brews, non-compliant alcoholic outlets, and drug through rapid result initiatives. Carried out regional specific multi-agency crackdown on illicit alcohol and drugs, conducted regular crackdown on shisha selling outlets in Nairobi and other major towns, conducted regional and county multi-agency forums to assess and address regional or county-specific alcohol drug abuse status through national alcohol drink control committees, conducted licensing of importers of alcohol drinks, and finally through National Alcohol Control Committee, inspected alcoholic drinks and manufacturers to ascertain levels of compliance to the set standards. Mr. Speaker, let me just say this before I read the last part, that again in our county visits, you realize that there is a problem that is internal that has largely been contained, the brewing of chang'aa and all these other illicit brews internally at our homes. The chiefs and all these partners have been able to do a good job. The problem we are dealing with is the commercial, the industrial level kind of manufacturing, where, Mr. Speaker, the counties that are severely affected, because the manufacture, but also the ones that are transiting from neighboring countries. The top counties are Trans Nzoia, Mr. Speaker, Kakamega, Kisumu, Nairobi, Nakuru. Mr. Speaker, contrary to the public sometimes sentiments that counties, for example, like Nyeri, have high prevalence of alcohol. Nyeri, for example, is ranked number 17. But if you go to Kitale, Mr. Speaker, the biggest concern from Kitale is as a result of the proximity to neighboring countries and the smuggling of goods, including this adulterated alcohol. So what we have had to do, Mr. Speaker, also the side of Marsabit and Isiolo. Isiolo is a big menace in terms of drugs, Mr. Speaker, including heroin that is brought from neighboring country. Now, have you
ever had a rally in Isiolo town?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, not just even a rally, even just walking through Isiolo town is a challenge. And Mr. Speaker,
it is so manifest.
So, Mr. Speaker, part of the reason, we used to get drug smugglers coming through the airports, but they no longer do so. They go to neighboring country, and I don't want to say countries' names because I've been in trouble before. Mr. Speaker, they go to neighboring country and they come by road through Marsabit, Mr. Speaker. And so a number, when I even went to Isiolo and Marsabit, a lot of these drugs have been confiscated, Mr. Speaker. And then they are brought to all the way to coast, or sometimes destined in Nairobi and Nakuru and other places. So, Mr. Speaker, there has been a massive crackdown of these drugs from the border, Mr. Speaker, together with operation of illegal firearms and gun, and in fact, most of the drugs and alcohol that come through these counties in the north, Mr. Speaker, are escorted with illegal firearms, Mr. Speaker, with gun holders. And all this has presented various challenges. And therefore, we have been carrying out very serious crackdown. What we have agreed is that this must continue in a multi-agency level. Mr. Speaker, we have also agreed with county governments, this is something we might need to take to the summit, that the licensing of wines and spirit shops, Mr. Speaker, which is, has happened across the country, must be regulated. We must balance the desire for revenue and the protection of lives of our people. Recently, NACADA also came up with regulations that want to move the minimum age of drinking to 21, among other measures, including where you can sell, the distance of where you can sell alcohol from where people live, among others, how to advertise, when to advertise, and all those policies have been put in place. Does the country have adequate facilities and infrastructure to respond to mental health challenges on drug dependency cases? Mr. Speaker, 95% of the rehabilitation facilities in the country are private, and this is a problem by itself. So many people are addicted, but you can only go to private. Private are largely, I don't want to impute improper motive, but theoretically, a private facility is driven by profit, Mr. Speaker. Yet, Mr. Speaker, so that means if I treat you and you become sick again and you come again, the better, Mr. Speaker, because it increases the revenue I get. I'm saying theoretically, I'm not saying that's what they are doing. But, Mr. Speaker, if it was public, then, we would put in place measures that will ensure that when we treat you, you go and get better, because we don't have more public resources to be able to continue investing in the same treatment. So they are, and they are also expensive. NACADA is lobbying for SHA accreditation of the rehab facilities. The government operationalized the Miritini Treatment and Rehabilitation Center in Mombasa, which is to be a center of excellence on matters of rehabilitation. And I visited there myself. And I saw, Mr. Speaker, many people, professionals, doctors, nurses, lawyers, who are being rehabilitated, Mr. Speaker. So this is not a problem or a menace that is only targeting people who are poor. That, Mr. Speaker, it is also affecting professionals. The national government has partnered with 12, 12 counties to set up county rehabs, which include, these counties include Kisumu, Kisii, Elgeyo Marakwet, Taita Taveta, Kwale, Mombasa, Bomet, Nakuru, Uasin Gishu, Kakamega, Lamu, and Nyeri counties, Mr. Speaker. And we encourage more and more counties to build rehabilitation centers. I have also seen cases where women members of parliament using GAF have proposed rehabilitation centers and working together with county governments for that reason. NACADA also inspects the rehabilitation facilities, around 300 in the country, and accredited those that adhere to national standards of rehabilitation for persons with substance use disorder. Regarding measures put in place to secure alternative funding for drug and substance abuse intervention programs, Mr. Speaker, NACADA is mandated to license, export, and import of alcohol drinks in Kenya, as provided under the Alcohol Drinks Control Act 2010. 1 million liters and above is 1 million shillings. License fee, 500,000 liters and above is 500,000 shillings license fee, and below 500,000 liters is 250,000. However, the compliance to volume-based license has been very low, since the majority of the applicants declare the 500,000 liters, Mr. Speaker. This has prompted NACADA to engage Kentrate to support with the onboard of import/export licensing of alcohol drinks onto the Trade of Facilitation Program, single window system. Secondly, the national government is encouraging county governments to develop county-specific legal laws that provide for ring fencing of funds collected from the licensing of bars and other alcoholic beverage to support rehabilitation programs, including the construction of rehabilitation centers. Before I sit, Mr. Speaker, the other challenge that has been posed also from our national conversation is the cooperation with the judiciary. And this is something we need to think about. Two things I just want to point out. One is that the chiefs and the OCSs are expressing frustration that when they arrest a person with alcohol or drugs, Mr. Speaker, the bail terms are so low that sometimes this is what they have always told me, that, Mr. Speaker, they're either very low bail terms or sentenced to community service. And so, Mr. Speaker, one example that I was given, I think it was in Makweni, by an SEC, was that they took someone to court and then they sentenced that person for banking. Then they sentenced him for community service. Then the next day, that person was brought to slash grass around the compound of the SEC. So the wananchi who were part of the reporting that this person must be arrested did not understand that this was community service. They thought the SEC participated in the arrest and took that person to go and work for him in his compound. Mr. Speaker, number two, that is a challenge. Number two is the requirement that you have to test at the government, the courts insisting that you must take a sample of the changa to a government chemist before the suspect can take charge, can take plea. Or you must also go and test bank before, or marijuana before the suspect takes plea. Now, this makes it very difficult for the chiefs and the OCSs, Mr. Speaker. You know, the people at the local level, they are now asking themselves, me and you are lawyers, we know where that is going. But the person down there is asking, who doesn't know what is a changa?
Minister, I thought the law is you can be charged, but when evidence is brought at the trial, is when you need the government chemist report.
The problem now...
At least when I was a magistrate or an active practitioner, that was the law. I don't know, Murugara, whether it is still the law.
Yes, that is still the position, that you do not have to have the results. You can actually be charged with all this. If you plead not guilty, then now they have to test and bring the evidence. If you plead guilty, it ends there. You are sentenced.
Now, Mr. Speaker, in some instances, these people, with their lawyers, come to court and they insist that before we charge my client, Mr. Speaker, we must first get a certificate that you are charging. What are you charging them for? And in most cases, the magistrate have acceded to that, and that has led to a problem. What we have proposed to them is that they need to use the Court Users Association, court user program within the county, sit together and agree. And in the places where the magistrates have appreciated the circumstances under which these people are operating, Mr. Speaker, thankfully, a lot has been done to contain illicit alcohol and the proliferation of drugs in those areas. Mr. Speaker, this is a continuous fight, and we are committed to make sure that we succeed as a country. I thank you.
Robert Mbui.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question was on drug and substance abuse. And there's an issue that the CS has mentioned that has also raised another question, because he kept mentioning Mugoka and cat. So I wanted to just wonder, is Mugoka and cat a drug or a cash crop as defined in law? But Mr. Speaker, the answers are very good, but sometimes I'm asking whether they're really factual, because when you talked about the curriculum, that is true, but then the training that you mentioned of principals and the community leaders on management of these, I wonder where and when this training has been taking place. Maybe you need to publicize it a little bit more to make Kenyans know. But Mr. Speaker, I agree, and I'm happy that he has said that the status of the abuse in the coast is above the national average. And that's what I wanted to confirm, that there's actually rampant drug and substance abuse at the coast. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want him to consider the following things that could be even the causes of this. Could it be possible that being at the coast, maybe that is a point of entry at the port, so you figure out whether you can make it less porous? Two, is it possible that we have inadequate laws dealing with drug and substance abuse? Because you've alluded to some of the things that happen in our courts of law, and the House could also be able to help you to make it a little better. Is it possible that the penalties that are in law are not punitive enough? And finally, could it also be laxity on the part of the enforcing officers, that is the police and the chiefs? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mwenje.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I just want to ride on the same. Honourable Speaker, for just the Cabinet Secretary, in Nairobi also we have this issue of drugs, Honourable Speaker. And one of the issues that we have peddlers in Nairobi who operate, especially in the Eastlands area, but generally in the whole of Nairobi. And Honourable Speaker, these peddlers are quite wealthy. They are able, and we've all heard from the CS himself that our officers also are not very well paid, so they are likely to be compromised. And in certain cases, even if you report to the local police officers, no action is taken because these peddlers are able to pay their way and continue operating. Is it possible for the Cabinet Secretary to provide a special unit, especially in Nairobi, where we can whistle blow where some of these peddlers exist and action can be taken without dealing with the local police officers, because that is where the problem starts from? Thank you.
Naomi Wako.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is, of course, I'm just riding on this, and it is true that Waziri is already aware of what is happening in northern part of Kenya, from Marsabit, Isiolo. Our young people are largely affected, and it is like they have no future. Waziri, I would want to know what plans we have in place, even if we do not have rehabilitation centers, what plans we have in place, because some of these young people are graduates and their lives have already been destroyed, so that they can be taken to rehabilitation centers and be rehabilitated, and also see how they can come back to the community, because Marsabit is largely affected and Isiolo is also affected. The other question is, of course, we know that we have drug barons in Kenya. Why are we as a country not able to deal with this? And if we are dealing with it, can you tell us the measures that we have put in place so that we can reduce this? Because it is negatively affecting our country and the families. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. To ride on the same, I also want to thank Waziri for the good program that he has regarding the drug and substance abuse at the coast. That includes awareness and prevention. But there are those people who are already addicts. And I'm happy that Waziri also noted that there are some women reps that are using their funds, the NGAF fund, to do the safe spaces or rescue centers or the rehabilitation centers. But I also want Waziri to be informed that we are not getting the support that it requires. I'm one of the women reps that I am doing a rehabilitation in Taita Taveta. I have been struggling since my first term. It's now 7 years because the funds are little. So the small kitty is the one that I'm using, saving every time to try and make sure that the rehabilitation center is done, and I'm still struggling. So Waziri, you have noted that it is a problem, it's a menace in the entire coast, and so we need your support on that one. And Speaker, now that Waziri is here, I also want to mention a problem that we have, insecurity problem that we have in Taita Taveta, that includes our border riders. Our young border riders are being killed day to day, and their borders getting stolen. And we have done some investigation here and there, and most of them are telling us that these borders are the ones that they have taken on loan, and they are paying in installments. Most cases, when they are almost about to complete or to finish paying, it is when they are attacked and these borders are stolen. I don't know whether Waziri is aware of this case, but we really need your intervention on this, because we have lost so many of our border riders in Taita Taveta. because of such issues. So thank you, Speaker, for that opportunity. I need Waziri to intervene on that one. Thank you.
Betsimba.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na nimeshtushwa kusikia waziri akisema kwamba katika utumiaji na uuzaji wa mihadarati na madawa ya kulevya mkoa wa Pwani ndio umekuwa waongoza katika taifa zima. Na nimuulize waziri, ana mikakati gani, amepanga mbinu gani za kuzuia uuzaji na utumiaji wa mihadarati kupitia kwa mipaka, kwa sababu Mombasa, nikizungumzia Mombasa ama eneo bunge la Kisauni, hakuna mashamba ya heroin, hakuna mashamba ya bangi, hakuna mashamba yoyote ya madawa ya kulevya. Yanatoka sehemu tofauti kuja pale. Ana mipango gani? Ya pili, Mheshimiwa Waziri, una habari kwamba DCI wa eneo la Kisauni hawana magari, wanatumia baiskeli kutafuta wahalifu? Una habari hizo? Na unapanga vipi kusuluhisha hiyo matatizo? Asante sana.
Mr. Speaker, first let me say on the follow-up questions by Honorable Mbui, one is the training. Training is not just happening, it's not a particular school. These are weekend programs, working together with, collaborating with the Ministry of Education, for example, to put workshops at a different times. That's why even programs that NACADA is planning together with students and so forth is a continuous program. And so what we can do is to seek also support from ourselves as leaders, and see we can organize public fora, maybe a tournament, and then before the finals of the tournament, maybe an NACADA can come in with training materials, awareness materials, those kind of issues. That's why these trainings are happening at this level. So once in a while, there's a meeting for principals in a particular sub-county or a county, then this training takes place and so forth, and creation of awareness. On the question of coast is a very unique place. It's because of the porous nature of the borders. So you know, coast is Lamu, it's in a border. Coast is Tana River, it's near the border. Coast is Taita Taveta, is definitely, in fact, part of the biggest problem of Taita Taveta is because in our neighboring, the other side, it's not very strict on matters of drugs and so forth. And I don't think they do even so much enforcement on matters of marijuana in the first place. It's not a big deal on the other side of the border, the same to Kwale. And then the coastline. You know, the coastline, it's not the port. It is also a porous coastline. And because very few places are manned with proper ports. But thanks to Coast Guard, we have been able to do a lot of work. By the way, if there's something that previous government did, particularly President Uhuru's government, was to deal head-on with the drug barons, and a lot was done. I was there when President Uhuru banned the whole ship that was carrying drugs in our first time, I remember. And so a lot has been done to dismantle the big barons. So what's happening is that, you know, the peddlers now are the biggest problem. Of course, they still bring with certain networks. What happens is that sometimes you are unable to get the baron themselves, but as long as you get the middlemen here, and you arrest them, dismantle the networks, and so forth. The biggest problem we face also is in terms of transit. So all this that comes from Ethiopia to Kenya, or South Sudan to Kenya, or Uganda, passing through Kenya, are not just destined in Kenya. Part of it is consumed here, but it's still finding its way to neighboring countries. Because this is part of transnational organized crime. So locally, I have told the chiefs and the assistant chiefs, the chiefs and the OCSs, that there is no way drugs and alcohol, illicit alcohol, can be sold in any part of Kenya without the knowledge of the chief and the OCS. So the ultimate responsibility is at that very local unit. Let them demonstrate that they have taken steps to report and crack down on these issues. Then another phenomenon that I noticed, and this is just for across the country, is that, including that cost, is that cannabis is also planted where there is a lot of insecurity. So the bandits, once they cover a place, they plant cannabis in that place, they consume, and they also sell. Interestingly, you will go to places like Isiolo, Marsabit, Samburu, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, where I come from. Once we did the massive operation on bandits, and we cleared certain places in Kerio Valley, we found that they have planted a lot of cannabis sativa along the river. And they could not have planted that amount of drugs if they were not having networks to sell them. We also had discovered that some of the police officers and the chiefs and the Ngao officers are major collaborators. And in most cases, either they are arrested and charged, some where you don't have direct evidence to charge them, you transfer them, you bring back to office so that they are not in certain areas where this menace is going on. So it never really, these things never really happen without the participation of a police officer. Either they have a cover of a OCPD or a sub-county commander or a county commander. In Kitale, for example, we went and when we were going for Jukwa, we had a tip that there were a lot of cannabis sativa and adulterated ethanol that was being sold. So the Deputy Inspector General of Police went with special team, and they went with the Nakada and did an operation. And the guy confessed that, how did this happen? Who told these people that this was here? He said, raids never happen without my knowledge. This must have been done without the knowledge of the officers on the ground, you know? So it is clear that this is something that we must continue fighting, deal with the police officers, deal with the administrators, but we should not wait until a minister. In fact, I am not subscribing to this idea that the Cabinet Secretary office should be put some money to fight alcohol. It must be infused in the day-to-day responsibility of the OCS and the chief. So that if you are sorting mobility for the chief, you are giving them motorbikes or OCS or OCBD or whatever, take the resources there, and as they do all other crimes, they deal also with these issues. In the past, we've had situations where certain officers are given certain money to fight alcohol, only for very little amount of that money to go anywhere, and then you do some raids and media coverage and all that. After 3 months, you know the thing is over. What we are now trying to work on is to be continuous, to be in your JD as an OCS and your JD as a chief. If we put it at that level, we'll be able to make great progress. We have the penalties in some cases. Penalty is not the problem. It's how the magistrate applies. Remember also, in these areas where there's compromise, also the magistrate is compromised, or a judge. For as long as the police can be bribed, the magistrate also can be bribed. So the problem is the application of that law by the law enforcing officers. And then we know we have the Honorable Mwenje, we have the anti-narcotic police unit, but it's still a small unit. Our conversation was now to make it a more fully fledged, like the anti-terror unit, because this is really destroying our young people. And even in the next recruitment, there is a plan to make sure that some of the officers are already working, but in different places, can be trained and posted to support the DCI unit of anti-narcotic, and then the new officers that are coming in can replace them in the different areas. On the question of rehabilitation of young people, this is a continuous there is no really good budget for rehabilitation. There's no budget in ACADA, neither is there a budget in any office for rehabilitation. That's why you see it in different places. And the best people, this is a function that should be done by county governments. The best thing is for some of the county referral hospitals and the sub-county health centers should have a wing for rehabilitating these young people, because it's a medical problem that we can be able to do it. But we should continue supporting, like Honorable Aika said, this GAF money, and the ladies have the noble idea to do it, but the money is very little. If you have 6 million in our whole county, there is only so much you can do in different things to please everybody. And if you go and put a rehab in one constituency, they say, oh, you're Niauko. You know, can you explain to us what have you done for us here? In fact, I really feel for sometimes the women MPs. It's better to be a senator. I was a senator before. Nobody will ask you how much money you have. But for you, you have little, and they think it's a lot. So that is the challenge. But it is important to partner. I wish they would have a buy-in from the county so that you can put part of it, and the county can put part of the resources to support it. That is that. And then proceeds. There's also something we are muting. It's not enough to get the drugs and the ethanol and to confiscate. If we can do further, and this is something we're having conversation, how best can we go for the proceeds of crime? You see, this person is a baron, he's selling ethanol. Ethanol one container is 50 million, okay? Even if you arrest him and you give him a fine of 1 million, he will pay and continue. But if we went for his accounts, like it's being done for confiscation or proceeds of crime, that money can come in and help us to buy vehicles and other equipment, build rehabilitation centers, and it will be more punitive than the normal court process. So in the 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, when I was launching the NACADA policy issue, this is something that we agreed we can pursue and work together with other agencies to deal with this. On the border riders for Honorable Ika at your border, they are stolen in Taita Taveta and taken to Tanzania. That is the challenge we have. And what has been happening when I was there for Jukwaa, we agreed that the county commissioner should have a better working relationship with the county commissioner on the other side to see how best. Because some of that cooperation, especially in Tok in the Tana, and because it's happening also in Kajiado, has helped depending on how our leaders on this side are able to engage the leaders in the other side of Tanzania to help us to deal with this. But it's a menace. When we went to Taita Taveta with the IG, he changed the police officers in that place because of that menace. And we hope that the new police officers who have come there will be more accountable. It is true, Ben Simba of Kisauni, many police stations don't have vehicles. Many police stations. Actually, we have a shortage of almost 50% of vehicles across. And you know that the government has been working on a procurement process to get another lot of leased vehicles. We believe that we should be, in this first quarter, we should make very good progress. And once we get those vehicles, we have told our officers on the ground they must be willing to share. There's no vehicle for Kenya Police Service, and there's no for Administration Police Service, and there's for DCI. They must be able to pull, particularly in counties like yours, where many places are reachable, they must be able to find a mechanism to share the vehicles. But also we have a problem of fuel. But that's not a problem in Mombasa. You know that most of the leased vehicles to the police station, there's only 450 liters of fuel, which is collected at the designated center. So you are in Kibish in Turkana, you come and collect fuel in Kitale, 450 liters. So you come all the way to Kitale, collect 450, and you go to Nairobi. You are in Ilret, and you are coming to collect fuel in Nanyuki. I think it's Nanyuki. You've come all the way, and you are going back to Marsabit, to that part of Ilret. And then the remaining fuel, you cannot even do an operation within a month, it's finished. Thanks to Jukwaa, we have agreed we move it to 650, but we work on the leasing program to see how best this can be moved forward. Asante sana.
Zamzam. Umulher, I saw a communication from Zamzam nominating you to ask a question. Are you ready? Go ahead. That's the last question of the day.
Thank you, Speaker.
Yes, Anna, what is it?
You allowed me that I should be asking a question on the basis of having an addendum, sir.
I said this is the last question of the day on the order paper.
Thank you.
There are still Konzrai with an issue of a disappeared person and yourself. And it will depend on whether they have been furnished to the minister or not. Tongo is here, he will help us. Yes. Yours was just a point of order that you wanted to raise. Omulher, go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker. Could the Cabinet Secretary clarify the circumstances under which Mr. Hassan
Minister,
was...
this is a very narrow question. You should take less than 5 minutes on it. Go ahead. Start.
Could the Cabinet Secretary clarify the circumstances under which Mr. Hassan Wasionga Ismail, who applied for a national ID card in Kisumu County in 2020 and was denied identification cards for over 4 years, and in March 2025 reapplied for another ID card, only later to be arrested and charged with robbery with violence, allegedly linked to an ID he had never collected. Provide details on the status of Mr. Wasionga Ismail's original ID, including information on who signed for its collection, when and where it was collected, the phone number it was used to register, and the identity of the person currently in possession of the phone that allegedly received the stolen funds. State the actions taken by the ministry to address the issue of stolen or misused ID cards, particularly how many similar cases have been reported or under investigations involving innocent individuals like Mr. Wasionga Ismail. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, following a review of our records, it has been established that Mr. Hassan Wasionga Ismail applied for a national identification card at the Otongolo Division Registration Office in Kisumu West Sub-County in 2020 through serial number 24732356551. A national identity card number 39226153 was duly processed and issued on 5th June of 2020. Duly processed and issued. It's important to clarify that an individual is issued with only one national identity number in their lifetime. New serial numbers are, however, generated for tracking purposes in every instance of replacement. Mr. Ismail has only ever been issued with ID once, and no replacement ID has ever been issued under his name or ID number since 2020. Regarding the claim that he was denied his ID card for 4 years, our system shows the card was produced and ready for collection within the standard processing time. Any delays in collection may not have been due to systemic failures, but may have arisen from procedural or personal issues which are subject to further internal review and ongoing investigations by the DCI. It is deeply regrettable that Mr. Ismail was arrested in connection with an ID card he allegedly never collected. The ministry takes such matters seriously and is working closely with investigative agencies to uncover how the identity may have been misused. We remain committed to upholding the integrity of the national identification system. Mr. Speaker, on part 2, as stated earlier, only one ID card has ever been issued to Mr. Hassan Wasionga Ismail, in line with our standard operating procedures. ID cards are collected in person at the registration office where the application was submitted. The applicant must present original application. In exceptional cases, a parent may collect the card on behalf of an applicant upon producing both the waiting card and their own identification. Since also it is the parents that help the children to get the ID. In the event of a lost waiting card, the applicant is required to provide police abstract or a letter from a chief confirming the loss. Currently, our offices are actively tracing the manual ID collection register for Kisumu West Sub-County to confirm whether this standard operating procedure was followed at the time of collection. Regarding whether the ID number was misused, the phone number used to register transaction linked to the ID number and the person currently in possession of it. I wish to inform the House that these matters are under active investigation by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. The Ministry will provide an update on the National Assembly once the DCI completes the investigations. On part 3, Mr. Speaker, this case is highly unusual but suggests a complex misuse of identity credentials. While the Ministry cannot at this time provide precise figure of such cases, we acknowledge that incidences of identity theft and misuse of identification documents are increasing globally, and Kenya is not immune to this emerging threat. To strengthen the integrity of the national identification system and protect innocent citizens, the Ministry has undertaken the following actions and plans to enhance them further with the support of this House. 1, modernization of Integrated Population Registration System, IPRS. The IPRS is being upgraded to enable government and private institutions to perform real-time Know Your Customer verification. This will ensure that only the most recent and valid identity credentials are used in service delivery. 2, implementation of a national digital identity system. This system will allow citizens to digitally manage their identification credentials, including flagging lost or stolen IDs instantly, and limiting the window of opportunity for criminal misuse. 3, automation of ID card issuance and collection. The ministry is planning an automated system that will link ID collection to biometric verification, requiring a fingerprint match with data stored on the ID chip at the point of collection. This will eliminate unauthorized third-party collection and bolster accountability within the identity ecosystem. 4, enhance the public awareness and legal framework. We are reviewing the legal and administrative framework to introduce harsher penalties for identity theft and the fraudulent use of national identity cards and documents to educate the public on the safe handling of ID credentials. The ministry respectively seeks to support the support of this House in prioritizing funding for these initiatives to ensure that the rights and identities of Kenyan citizens are protected comprehensively and effectively. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Bwana Waziri. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of Madam Zamzam, she asked me to let the Cabinet Secretary know that there's a case of somebody who's been arrested in Kisumu with over 800 IDs, and she suspects that Mr. Wesonga could be a victim of such a case and requests you look into the matter. Thank you, because the gentleman was arrested and she released him from custody.
Honorable Zamzam is not around, and Mr. CS, Honorable CS, he is not sure if Hassan picked the ID himself. So I think this question...
He said investigations are ongoing.
So that's why, Mr. Speaker, sir,
Yes.
What I'm saying is this question, or the answer, after the investigation should be brought back to this House so that we make sure what happened.
That's a fair request. Minister, once the investigations are over, you can communicate to the House through the chair of the committee. Oundo.
Honorable Speaker, on the same issue of IDs, I just want to make a request to the Cabinet Secretary. There are very many young people who are joining colleges and universities, and they have applied for IDs and have waiting cards. Is there a measure, is there a way you can ensure this rapid process of the IDs so they're not inconvenienced when they have to operate bank accounts after they get the so-called boom? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kipepeo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was there when Honorable Zamzam was requesting that there was an innocent young man in jail suffering on behalf of somebody who picked his ID and they came for him. We might be having more innocent people in jail suffering on behalf of those who are very good at picking people's IDs. So the chiefs and the assistant chiefs, those who help out, how can anyone pick somebody's ID, yet they know very well these children from their background? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, quickly, it should take...
Minister, as you, because that is the last opportunity on this, as you answer that, in the good old days, we used to be issued with IDs before you leave school, before you prepare to go to university. Why can't you help the country by issuing students with IDs, those who are in fourth form? So because without an ID, they cannot process their documents to university, they can't get their boom, they can't open bank accounts, they can't do anything. Why can't you institutionalize students leaving schools with IDs, subject to, of course, age qualification?
Mr. Speaker, first let me say that a lot of reforms has gone into this area of IDs. Only this year I gazetted, Mr. Speaker, I issued a gazette notice taking away all the, or removing all the fees. So taking an ID now is free for the first time. So that was the directive of His Excellency the President, that we issue IDs for free, and I did so. Mr. Speaker, you remember the president last year also removed unnecessary restrictions that was affecting border counties like your county, all the way to Kisumu, Migori, Narok, Kajiado, Kwale, Lamu, Garissa. You know, some people just, in their heads, they think about Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera. They don't realize that the same problem was all over the place in every county. And therefore, including Busia and all these other counties, including West Pokot and Turkana. So all border counties were suffering unnecessary extra verification. And so that has helped a great deal. I went to Kitale during the Jukwaa, and I was shocked that within a time of 1 hour, 200 people had registered for ID, because in the Jukwaa La Usalama program, we go around, we go with live capture machines that are being tried, and where you register the person and you don't carry anything. All the information comes to the headquarters. The chief is sitting there, the registrar, the fingerprints, and then it can easily be printed. And counties which are vast, like Kajiado, for example, require that kind of live capture machines to take it to the interior parts to make sure that people are reached out in Kajiado, Kitui, Northeastern, and other places. So those are the reforms that we are working on. In fact, the only remaining thing now with the live capture machines, and I wish I would demonstrate it here, but those of us who have been together, either in the office or when I came for Jukwaa in your place, you saw that machine is portable. You can carry it using a boda, you know, and you only need 3 people. You have the machine, and you only need the registrar, the fingerprint officer, and the chief to be present. So it can be done mobile, so that that approval can be done. And going forward, that's going to be the practice. Now, it takes only 3 days to get an ID. Anything beyond 3 days but for us, in terms of issuance, it takes 7 days to make sure that 3 days is ready in Nairobi, and then, because in most of the parts of Kenya, it takes only 1 day to fly those IDs to different parts. And many IDs are lying in various registration offices at the local level, unpicked, you know. But most of these young people who are going to college have been picking their IDs of late. There is need for a program for sensitization of delivering those IDs in areas where it takes more than 7 days, okay? Let's say even if it is worse, it takes 14 days. It should not go beyond 14 days. In those beyond 14 days, there is a problem. And that we now need to find an online mechanism where people can report and check and track. And those are some of the things I was reading here, that we want to put a tracking system so that someone know the delay is at the headquarters or at the delivery at the local level. And Kenyans have become very active. And then, so this mobile registration also will now help us to get the school programs. The good thing is that, by the way, the real truth is that mobile, registration centers for IDs are fairly covering most parts of the country. The marginalized areas are the ones struggling. But the birth certificate and the death certificate is less accessible. So you go to a county, it has 17 centers for IDs, but has only 2 centers for, like which county? Like Nakuru. You have only 2 centers. Or was it Nakuru? No, there was a county which has only 2 centers, but it has about 17 for IDs. So the point is that we want to work on, it was Narok actually, because we were with the chair, it was Narok. So we need to work on we are working on the registration center. And we are also trying to debate, if we remove the fees on IDs, if we get proper guidance, we can remove for birth certificate, because that is more needed by, younger people registering for school and so forth, except for lost documents. So, Mr. Speaker, you're right. Once these gadgets are in place, school programs will be easier. But school programs are still ongoing. It's just that we need to make it more frequent everywhere. And then ultimately, with the growth of technology, our hope that ultimately you don't have to apply for ID. You just need to get your birth certificate. And once you are in the system, you pick your ID when you are 18. When you reach 18, you move with your ID. You don't have to come and apply again. How can someone pick somebody's ID? That is the subject of investigations, really, to find out what exactly happened in the situation of Ismail. and in other cases of theft of identity, that needs to be done. For example, I went after Maandamano. I went to OTC, and I saw many IDs are all over the place, you know. Nobody has given me an explanation why we had so many IDs in some places and it was not chief's office and so forth. So most likely there are these characters who steal from people, steal people's identities, and they want to use it. And Mr. Speaker, these investigations will help us a great deal to know exactly, to refine our systems of, from issuance to collection, what exactly happens within the ID, and especially in this case of Ismail. I thank you.
Yes, Jessica, what is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been raising my hand and you've not caught my eye, but thank you for you've caught my eye. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the...
It is you who caught my eye. I didn't get your eye.
Yeah, because I've been raising my...
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, you know I've sat in your seat for 10 years, and mine is just to confirm before the minister finishes his submission. Based on the question from the honorable member, Mr. Speaker, how long, you should be telling us, how long will these investigations take place, being the minister and in charge? You cannot tell this House that investigations are going on. You should be able to tell us it will take us this time. Thank you.
Yes, Minister. How long?
I think, Mr. Speaker, the safe side of the story is that Ismail is not in confinement as a result of this theft of identity. That's important first, that the part of where he was picked as a suspect. But how long the investigations takes, investigations only takes the time investigation takes is up to the conclusion when you get the suspect. And until we get that suspect and refine these processes, I think it is important to remain patient to deal with this issue. But what you can get from me is that we are not going to let go this issue because it is appointed to other problems. So it's not one of those things that you will say, okay, it's okay, the guy has been sorted, let's move on. It's important for us in terms of tightening the systems for issuance of ID. So take it from me, we'll take it very serious. And I hope that, Mr. Speaker, in the next few weeks, I should be able to send, the way you directed in the other statement, to be able to send an update on how far this investigation has gone.
Minister, you can sit there and take questions from these members. If you have the answer, you can give it, because this is now an ambush. These are questions that were asked to your committee chair. Gonzrai, after Gonzrai, Sane, after Sane, Tubi. Tubi, you had already seen me. Why are you raising your hand again and have your name here? Tubi, after Tubi, Adan Daud said he has just a point of order about the management of your affairs with the committee. Yes, Naomi, you are not on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what I need to know from the minister is that on the 16th of July, 2024, Mr. Charo Karisa Mae was abducted by unknown people believed to be security agents while traveling from Mombasa to Malindi. The matter was reported at Malindi Police Station by the OB number 30/16/02/2024. To date, Mr. Charo Karisa Mae has not surfaced, and we are actually wondering whether he's actually being held anywhere by any security agents, and if he's being held, under what authority and the location, because what we want is his whereabouts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is on Mr. Hussein Abdurrahman Mohammed of ID number 2672739, who has been a former Assistant County Commissioner and currently the manager of Huduma Center in Wajir County, who went missing on 8 July 2025. My questions to the CS is to give report on the status of investigation into the disappearance of Mr. Hussein Abdulrahman Mohammed, measures taken by the government to ensure that Mr. Hussein Abdulrahman Mohammed is found and reunited with his family, and finally steps being taken to enhance the safety and security of residents of Wajir North constituency, including measures by security agencies to promptly investigate and resolve cases of missing persons, including one Isa Bole Mohammed, who is missing for 2 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine was almost 2 months ago. Isiolo was in problems. Isiolo had security problems, and I raised the question, a statement here, to be answered by the chairman. It did not come, and this morning I received it. It has something to do with the Isiolo problem, and I'm not satisfied with the statement, with the answer which I was given. This one talks about Isiolo. The problem emanated. We used to have Isiolo having banditry and all these things. These days it's not about banditry, but problems in town. The problems in town emanate from political and something imported into Isiolo. Now, the problem we are having right now is the issue of a constitutional mandate being done by the members of the County Assembly against the Speaker on accountability. And the whole thing, goons were brought into Isiolo County, and there's a lot of deaths and injuries which has happened. People are living under threats and intimidation that County Assemblies will not hold this meeting. That is what it is. And then the help of the government itself, the police and everybody, was nowhere to be seen. County Assembly was vandalized. Everything was moved from that in presence of the police. And the governor is the person who is doing this. And as if he's above the law. And that is not the only first one. The governor was known to have done the same thing in City Hall sometimes back. Now we are getting the same thing. Whatever you're talking about today, about drugs and all these things, has something to do with a new phenomena in Isiolo. Then the minister can tell us what exactly have they done. Thank you.
Yes, Naomi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll take the House back to the ID issue, the issuance of IDs. Number one, I want to say a big thank you to our President and to the Ministry for the issuance of IDs to the people. In fact, our people feel that this is the time we have gotten independence. My question is on the number of days that people that they take to release the ID cards, because it has taken quite some time. Some people have been waiting for the last 6 months, others have been waiting for their cards, for their ID cards for the last 1 year. How can we make it more effective even for the people in northern Kenya? Again, the other question is on the waiting cards that people sometimes use, especially on the border of Moyale. As they come through to Marsabit, they struggle because they are not allowed to travel with their waiting cards. What can we do so that at least they can use their waiting cards to travel even to Marsabit? The other one is good news, high schools in Marsabit. In fact, I think we may be leading in that. The officers in place have been doing that, and we are happy with that progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Mine are also two quick questions that I had raised earlier. Yes, sir. Thank you, Speaker. There's a question I had raised 2 months ago on the missing cases of young men, and this particular cases of Abdirizak Kiale from Dadaab constituency. The statement through the chair was not very sufficient, but it almost answered the question. So the brother is back. He was released after 2 weeks, but his other brother, who they were abducted together by the police, is now missing for 2 years. On behalf of the family, I'm requesting for quick interventions and an answer on that. Thank you.
Bogoyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the CS and appreciate his efforts of subdividing Kajiado North into two operational sub-counties to have OCPDs. But Waziri, I have, in my efforts, made complete all your police stations built by NGCDF. All your chiefs, and the last one is going to be housed by NGCDF, 100%. We still have a big problem with personnel. And you can look at, out of the 290 constituencies, Kajiado North has the highest rate of buying land, building police posts. All your chiefs are built by NGCDF, and land bought for security. Your police station is in Kiserian is bought by NGCDF, built by NGCDF, but no increment of even one police officer, even after building all those stations. And the worst is Gataka, where we house Cooperative College, the universities around there. Our students are being manned there. The command station around there is still a problem. So I'm still appealing to you, CS. What are you doing? Because we are building, as per your request, approved by your planning department in the National Police Service. What are you doing to increase the personnel for Kajiado North constituency with the support of NGCDF? And I repeat again, the Kajiado North NGCDF has 100% done all your police stations, all your chief's offices, magnificent.
You are repeating yourself. Mayaka?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to inquire from the CS, because I recall a couple of years ago when we were finishing Form 4, we would actually apply for IDs while in school and get them by the time you're finishing school. I just want to know if that is still happening, because that then would be very helpful.
You already
for the young
said it is happening, but it's not adequate.
Oh, okay.
So the issue is adequacy. You even had Naomi Wako boasting that Masabit is doing very well. So what you need is to step up, Minister. Daud, what's your point of order? Then Minister, I'll give you under 10 minutes to respond to all those.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is first to appreciate that the Minister has come to the House today to answer all these questions. But, Mr. Speaker, there are many statements we have asked in this House, and responses given through the chair of the committee in charge of internal security. But the two statements that I sought, the responses were inadequate. You ordered that the Minister comes in front of the committee and answer them himself. Mr. Speaker, we have been given 2 dates to come in front of the committee. And the last minute, we are told that the Minister is not appearing. So I wanted you to reinforce your order so that the Minister can come in front of the committee again and answer those questions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That is easy to dispose of, Minister. You are ordered to appear before the committees when you are invited. That is a duty. You can respond to the others.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Just hold on. Kagusha? Let's take the last
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just want to make an appeal as well to the CS to kindly provide police officers and personnel for Gumba Police Post and the Kibutio Police Post in Mukurweini in Gekondi. The two police posts have been constructed, and now they are ready for occupation. And we have also distributed this to your staff at the local level so that we can be able to have them occupied and serve the people of those two areas. Thank you.
Minister, you can now respond.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
10 minutes.
I definitely, of course, just like the House, we have a good working relationship with the committee. And I know the member is not a member of the committee, but it was his question. It was only that we agreed with the committee because of the program at that point in time. Twice we were unable to meet. But in the next one, I'll make sure that respond. Mr. Speaker, on the question of, the first one was Mr. Charo. Mr. Speaker, the Member of Parliament of Kinango constituency, Gonsrai, has requested this statement. And Mr. Speaker, on 16th of July 2024, Mr. Wanje Karisa Mai reported the disappearance of his brother, Mr. Charo Mai Karisa, aged for 20 years at Malindi Police Station via OB number 3016/7/2024 at 10:57 hours Karisa indicated his brother, Mr. Charo Maya Karisa, had traveled to Shanzu in Mombasa County as for 15 July 2024 at approximately 5:00 hours and had since become unreachable with his mobile phone switched off. He further states that he had received information from Kahindi, a matatu driver, that his brother was abducted by unknown masked gunmen along the Mombasa-Malindi road. An inquiry file number 16 of 2025 was subsequently opened to establish the circumstances surrounding these allegations. The case remains under active investigations. On the measures, Mr. Speaker, the government remains firmly committed to upholding constitutional Kenya and safeguarding fundamental rights and freedom of all citizens. The service refutes claims of enforced disappearance, which is not